5. Let me start. Good evening, friends, and welcome to the webinar on Introduction to Procurement and Public Procurement. Now, we hope that this will be enjoyable and valuable and interesting as well. The key objective, we have two. One is to enhance the knowledge of supply management. Second is to help those colleagues of ours who are preparing for PDPP certification. So before I go into the detail, let me give you some administrative issues. So this session will go on for an hour, followed by 2 poll questions. And later on, we could have Q&A, but looking at we have to cover 2 modules, so I will not be keeping Q&A for today. So you can send me your questions, you can on the chat, and then we will send you answers collectively. Well, friend, with this, let me again welcome you all to this webinar on Introduction to Procurement and Public Procurement. Now, the agenda for today is the role of procurement. What exactly is procurement? Understanding the term procurement. Why it is so important around. Then we'll also talk about public versus private sector procurement. We always say procurement is to get the value for money. So why should there be a difference between public and private sector? Both have got funds. The money is scarce. Everybody has to get value for money. So why should there be difference? So we'll talk about that. Then we'll also talk about key principles of public procurement. So when public means the public funds, it's a taxpayer money. So what drives it? What principles are there around? The concept of value for money. One of the very popular one is total cost of ownership, TCO. Then we'll also walk into the value analysis and value engineering. I want each one of you to remember the 2 terms. Analyzing the value, which is value analysis, and second is value engineering. So during the engineering stage, during the design stage, how do we build in the value in the system? Understanding the JIT, the just in time, total quality management, and 6 Sigmas. Then there are theories of competition, which is the game theory, which is very popular. So broadly, what we are trying to do is enlighten on the concepts and principle to ensure cost-effective and efficient public procurement. So the 2 words again you have to keep in mind: effective and efficient. You might be very efficient in doing the job very quickly, but at the end of the day, what you got, the product, may not be meeting your expectation. It has to be effective and efficient. Let's understand what is procurement. Very simple definitions. So procurement is acquisition. Acquisition of what? It could be goods. So when I say goods, goods mean tangible thing. Like buying computers, table, furnitures, they are tangible. Services. Services are intangible. Intangible means we are looking at those services. Services could be consulting services, security services, or even the software services, even restaurant services. They are all services. And the last is civil works. So this could be anything, acquisition of or any one of them, or combination of all. But keep in mind, procurement is a process. So it's not an event. It doesn't happen just like that. You have to go through the steps of activities around. So we call as an event. So the one event is you have to plan procurement. You have to draft the specifications. You have to advertise the procurement. Advertising could be through media, through this, or online, or directly informing the suppliers. Then you award the contracts. And after awarding the contract, you have to manage the contract. Just awarding a contract is not good enough. The guy has got a contract, then the supplier has gone to sleep and never bothers to deliver you, never bothers to inform you. So you have to manage the contract. So the new definition which comes up is, it's a whole process of acquisition from third parties, including logistical aspects around. So it is not just buying. It goes more than that. It covers the logistic, it covers inventories, It covers the bigger definitions around. Here I give you the cycle around. I think once you understood the cycle, you will understand what is public. So when we talk of identifying the needs, that's a beginning. So needs come from the planning. Then you're planning based on the needs, you plan it. So different department, different customers, they're sending you, oh, we need for our office this. We need so many consultants. Oh, we need this building to be made around. All those needs are coming to you. So based on the needs, you plan it. So once you've planned it, the next thing comes, guys, okay, and I've planned it. Do I have sufficient specifications? Do I have the what exactly I'm looking for? What are the terms of reference? What is the statement of work? Then I look around the method, what method I'm going to follow. Should I go for competition? Should I go for direct contracting? Should I do e-procurements around? Should I do reverse auctions? Different methods are there now. Prepare solicitation documents. So you make a solicitation document. In public sectors, the very popular ones are ITB, invitation to bid, which we use for the goods of high values. RFP, request for proposal. Request for quotation, RFQ. We also use RFI in the beginning stage to collect the information, to understand the market, seek, clarify, and close the offers around. You got the offers around. Now you want to get clarity whether they have understood you correctly or not. You want to get seek and clarify. You evaluate them. Evaluations can be done with some set procedures. And then the person who is giving you the best value for money, it could be based on score, could be based on price, could be combination of two. You award the contract. But the moment you award the contract, the next starts is to negotiate the contract. I would just change a little bit here. First negotiate the contract and then you award the contract. So sorry, please reverse these two slides around. Manage the contract. So you want to manage it. Because you have given the contract, but now you want to manage it. Is doing well or bad? At the end of the day, I always call procurement as a journey. Procurement is not a destination. If it would have been a destination, then you manage the contract and over. But then what we do is we learn from the lesson. We sit down and relax and say, guys, did I do a good job or a bad job? What problems I faced around? What type of supplier was? Where did I make a mistake? Was my specs not clear? Was my procurement method not good? My evaluation was bad or poor? So once you look at all those, you learn something. The next time when you're doing procurement, you use those knowledge in the next process. So you become smarter and smarter. Now the journey to public procurement, when we talk around, it starts obviously understanding the term procurement, why procurements, strategic importance of procurements, aims of procurement. What do you want to aim? Public versus private sector, and a need for framework. The framework is very important around. We'll be touching this need for framework in the next module. Now, why go through the process? At the end of the day, you want the vendor should be responsible. You don't want a casual vendor. And should be responsive bid. And the offer which is coming up, it meets the expectation of all your stakeholders and is the lowest possible price. It's a combination of all this. So this is why we put the bullet around at the bottom, the most economically advantageous offer. It is not the price alone, it's a combination of various elements. Combining all those, you say, guys, am I getting the advantageous offers around? Objectives of good procurements. Obviously, you're trying to buy in a good, effective manners. There are 5 R's. I think the very basic, which we call as Procurement 101, 5 R's are still worldwide used around. Right price, right quantity, right qualities, right source, right time. delivered at the right place. Now, right price, when we say around, we are not saying the lowest price. We're saying lowest evaluated price. Somebody may be charging you 10% extra price, but the features which they are giving around are much better. They meet your expectations. The warranty is better. There are some other features around. So you look at the price that you're getting the right price, right quantity. You want a batch of 10, the guy gives you a batch of 5. And you can't send it. If you have to send a batch of 10 to one supplier, and this guy has given you 5 pieces, you will have to send 2 times. At the right quality. The word quality is very important. We are not saying the best quality or the poor quality or excellent quality. We are saying right quality. So the right quality means which meets your expectations. You and me, when we buy at our own home, we go in the market to buy shoes, we go market this. Anything which meets my expectation, keeping in mind my budget, if it meets my expectations, I'll say it's the right quality. So the right quality means which is meeting the customer expectations around. From the right source, obviously it has to be from the right source and the right time. So the source is also a reliable source. We don't want to have a source which is having too many legal disputes. Or the company which is going under bankruptcy. And the right time. If the delivered time is supposed to be on, let's say, 15th of April, the guy gives you at the end of April, you have lost the meaning. You wanted to launch the product, and the guy is giving you much later. And should be delivered at right place. Your destination was Delhi, and the guy is delivering you in Calcutta, lost the meaning around. So the benefits of good procurement include security of supply. In the good old days, we never bothered much on this, but we need now security around. On the way, things should not be stolen. Delivery should happen correctly. Lower total cost. The word is lower total cost. It is not the purchase price alone. It is all the cost which adds to it. It could be shipping cost, could be insurance cost, could be operational cost. All those you have to add up. Less risk, improved quality, more added values, greater efficiencies. And lastly, I would say the new innovation. If somebody is giving a product to you which has got better features, like you and me, when we buy the phone, it may be the same price, but then you look at the features around, who's giving you better technology, innovations around. So that makes a big difference. So again, the good procurement, when I look from the public side, public procurement side, the 4 principles. In private sector, this may not be very relevant, but in public sector, yes. And the reason being is a public money. It's a taxpayer money. So they want free and open competition. So the competition should be free, competition should be open, and free means everybody should be able to compete in it. Everybody who is qualified to compete. It should not be saying, okay guys, oh you can't compete in this. So everybody should be able to compete, everybody should be able to participate if they are qualified and open competition. Fairness. The process has to be very fair, and a process should have integrity of the process around. Not that we are leaking out some information here and there to favor X and Y. It should be fair and integrated. Responsive and responsible contractors. Responsive means those who are meeting the expectation of our stakeholders. Responsible means the contractors which are reliable. Reliable means they don't have legal dispute much behind them. They are not under the bankruptcies. They are strong contractors, reliable contractors with a very good reputations. All those factors are there. Next comes the transparency part. The process has to be transparent. Everything has to be transparent. So if one information is given to one supplier, they write me an email, can I get this clarification? We give a clarification. But that clarification should go to all. Even if they are not asked the question, but the clarity should go. So that we are basically trying to create a level field. Nobody gets extra advantage just because there is a questions around. Now the public versus private sectors, common factor is both wants value for money. The money is scarce for both. I won't say private sector has got more money or public sector has got more money. Both want to use the money optimally. The differences which comes up around is this transparency, fairness, equality, competitions. That is not important around because private sector works in a different fashion. They do competition wherever required. Wherever they have a partnership, they work with them as a partner. Responsiveness principles, again, is very particular about public sectors. Professionalism, yes, I think is required in both the places around. Constitutional principles, here you are driven by the court, you are driven by the rule. There it could be difference around. They'll say, guys, okay, will not go into applicable law. If any dispute happens, we'll go through arbitrations. Multiplicity of principles, like in public sector, there's a guideline that you have to buy so much from SMEs, small medium industries. In a private sector, there's no any guiding. Oh, you have to buy from SMEs because they have to survive. If you are running a private sector, you're getting public money, tax, maybe the people shareholder money, they want return, they want dividends. So if I'm caring for these small things, maybe they will not survive. The quality may go down. Public accounting principles, which is very common in the case of public sector. It could be Vigilance Commission, could be CBI, could be public security. Scrutiny could be there around. Oh, why did you give contract to this? Why the other one was not given this around? The media could be discussing around. In private sector, no. Their job is to ensure profitability. Whom to give business, whom not to give business is left to the companies. Transaction principle. In case of public sector, compliance. First thing when they come to and visit your company in public sector, oh, are you complying with the guidelines? Are you complying with GFR? GFR says competitions. Did you give 1 month notice? Did you get 3 quotations? You have to answer all those. So while in the case of private sector, these issues are not there around. For them, time is money. If they are not able to sign the contract within a week, they're wasting the time. Strategic importance. Now let's look around, is it strategically important or not? Look at any countries, even the developed country, US, Europe, around 15% of the GDP is spent on public procurement. So when we talk of public procurement, it means buying services for the public, making schools, making metros, making highways, making smart cities. These are all procurements. In the case of India, I would say, if I look at the India's GDP, which is around $2.2 trillion, which is 2,300 billion, you could call it, 25% of that comes to close to 500 billion. I know the exchange rate is varying all the time. So it comes to 500 billion. You can imagine even if you save 10%, you and me all know very well, potential is always there. Even if I save 10%, we are saving $50 billion. You can imagine $50 billion could be more than the budget of some other states in India. So there's a big potential. So that shows the importance of public sector. Now the finance ministry has, since they are the steward of the public finances, they have built up the guidelines called General Financial Rules 2005, and that regulates the procurement at the union and state levels. So at the union level, state level, and all those departments which report to the state, they follow GFR. So that is the guiding factors around. Now procurement framework around. When we talk of procurement framework is broad guidelines. So the guidelines mean the principles which you have. So obviously you need the legislation. You need the guidelines, you need the manuals, you need regulation and rule. So regulation rules are nothing but financial rules and regulations. So if you look the wording, regulation is first. So based on regulation, there are rules. We call them FRR. So you need the guidebooks, you need the manuals. If I've joined the public sector, they'll say, guys, oh, manual number this, guideline number this, how to proceed, how to do. You need to know all this. So even the same concepts are followed by many international organizations, whether it's a UN, whether it's a World Bank, all international organizations, they also follow, because it's public funds, they follow public procurement procedures. And broadly, we used to say, define four things. The principle. Second, we define policy. Third, we define the procedures. And the last, we try to define practices. So if you have the manual which addresses all, that covers your procurement framework. So in the UN, I used to promote them, guys, go for 4 P's. So P stands for principles. What is the principle of procurement? Second, policy. Third is procedure. Last is practice. Because the practice will vary from country to country. Same way within the country also are seen from state to state, depending on the local situation, the practice may vary. You can't have one size for all. Mission statements, at the end of the day, the money is very scarce. We are a poor country, we have a scarce fund. We want to ensure the procurement is done in a cost-effective way and cost-efficient way. The management concepts relating to various rights. So we have 5 R's we talked about. The very first thing comes, okay, right price, right value, right supplier, right time, right quantity, all those great, right quality. The concept of values. So that's a key principle nowadays. Many organizations, even if you go down, even in the World Bank, in the UN, oh, what is the value? Are we getting value for money? Nobody say, are we getting value, price for money? We'll say, guys, value for money. So when I say value, it's a combination of many parameters. You and me go into the market around. We all the time don't look at the lowest price. We don't mind paying 5-10% more if I know I'm getting additional features. If I'm getting some additional features, that means I'm getting additional value. That's what we call what benefits I'm getting around. I've got 2 suppliers, both are giving me some benefits. I'm buying a vehicle from X supplier, I'm getting a vehicle from an X brand, Y brand, both in the same price range, but one gives me extra features, gives me additional values, gives me that even if I sell after 5 years, I'll get a better market to sell it. My disposal value will be more. So naturally, that means you're getting a value. So value covers 3 things. Does it give you esteem? You know, sometimes you feel, guys, having this, even at the same price, it gives me my esteem. Oh, guys has got a wonderful vehicle, wonderful furniture, wonderful computers, whatever you may call around. That's a esteem value, disposal value. If tomorrow after 5 years I sell it, I'll get more price if I sell this. So those factors have to be built in when I talk of values. So this is why in the third bullet you will find the function. It should give me more function, status, and last is disposal values. And so anyway, I covered this, so I can skip this. So at the end of the day, sometimes people ask, what is procurement people doing now? What is our product? I think this is the question which should be asked from everybody who's working in any supply chain activity, procurement activities around. Ask them, guys, what is your product? What do you do? What is your end product? So everybody has an end product. That end product should have a service component and a value component. So if all of us have a value component and a service component, then we are certainly adding importance to it. Okay, guys, this is a cartoon which talks about why should somebody join procurement. Somebody has given it around. how procurement people can create a values around. Okay, the perspective on values. Purchasing in the service industry. When we talk, I'm in procurement function. So procurement function is a service function. You might have seen many companies are nowadays outsourcing the procurement function. So there are many companies, and even the big name, if you look around, whether Accenture, IBM, they are doing support function of procurement to many clients worldwide. It becomes a service function. So purchasing must ensure success. Value is determined by the customers. So this gives you the definition of values. So value is nothing but the ratio between the benefits divided by expenditure or function by the cost. So that means if two items I'm looking around, their cost could be X and Y, but the function which I'm getting around, the benefits I'm getting around, it's a ratio of the two, and that's how you decide, oh, this is value for money. So value for money is not just the lowest price. It's getting again those 5 R's which we talked about. I can skip this. I think we have touched a lot discussion on this. So again, value for money, getting an increased level. Why the focus is more on the value for money? In public sector, this is a new trend I would call around. If you look back 4 years back or 5 years back, everybody talked about the lowest price. Nobody talked about the value for money. Value for money came up in the advanced countries first concepts. In the UN came, World Bank, they tried to promote this concept of value for money. So guys, don't go with the lowest price. But the key issue comes when auditors come and check you. They say, guys, okay, you're paying more price by saying it's a value for money. Some people may like to hide under the name of value for money. They say, guys, have you explained in your bidding documents? Your bidding document should qualify what does value stands for. Who will get extra weightage if this is so and so. So that has to be defined. Otherwise, it becomes very personal, very subjective. Oh, I feel it's a value for money, but my friend feel, oh no, it's not a value for money. And then under the name of value for money, I might be spending more money. So getting an increased level of or quality of service, avoiding unnecessary purchases, ensuring the user needs are met, and the cost of purchasing should be lower. Strategic procurement versus transactional procurement. That's how it looks around. I mean, again, let me touch the strategic part a little bit. There are two types of procurements. Very transactions. Transaction means, to me, is more like a clerical. Somebody makes a request to you, you wake up, you find a supplier and you place an order. Then you again go to sleep mode. Again request comes, you run, you place an order, again go to sleep mode. But strategic is different. In the US, strategic has been made a must from the year 2005. Even there was a president's circular on that. So strategic means you try to see, guys, what did we buy last year's? How much was my volume? So based on the volume, you say, guys, these are my high value item, these are my critical item, these are my low value item, these are my leverage item. We use called 2x2 matrix. We call spend management part around. So it's a classic model around. So based on that, we try to come up, okay, guys, which are the one where I should have a long-term arrangement? Which is the place where I should have an e-catalog? So the focus is going towards strategic procurement. Best value for money allows decision to be made based on other than just lowest price. Okay, guys, I think this we have touched a lot already, so let me skip over. Now the next comes the value analysis, value engineering. Now when we talk of value analysis and value engineering, now value analysis is done once I'm doing procurement. Then I go to the supplier. The supplier tells me, guys, this is going to cost you so much. But if you allow me, I can change the material. It will serve the same purpose, give you same finish, same look, same, but the cost also will go down. That's what we call the value analysis. Without compromising the values, if I can make some changes, It's called value analysis. Why value engineering is I'm on the drawing board. I'm making a product, I'm designing the product, but if I consult somebody from a supplier or from procurement, guys, do you think this is the one I'm going to release a drawing? And the supplier comes and tells us, guys, if you can make these changes, your cost will go down, your operation cost will go down. That's what we call the value engineering. You're adding a value at the engineering stage. Here I'm doing the addition of values only after the product has been launched. So there's a value analysis VA and VE. So just summarizes one at the drawing board stage, one after it has come in the market. Let's look around. This is a good example I can say of value analysis. I'm looking for putting papers together. Very simple thing. My problem is holding the sheets of paper together. So what I can do is, obviously I can put them with a clip. I can staple them. I can also put a folder clamp around. So you have to find what adds a value to you. If I put a clip, paper clip, the paper clip will fall off. Then you have problem again to collate them. If I put a folder clamp, it looks nicer. If I staple it, it serves my purpose, but may not look nice. So this is where you have to analyze the values with the different solutions around. Total cost of ownership. When we talk of a product, I'm getting a product, let's say from China, I'm getting a product from Vietnam, I'm getting a product from Tamil Nadu. One is coming from within the country. The price of the one from Tamil Nadu may be 5% more. But if I look at the landed cost from Tamil Nadu, say to Delhi, or from China to Delhi, my cost of transportation may be less. So if you include the transportation cost, insurance cost, if you also include the operational cost, that means tomorrow there's a maintenance, it's a breakdown, I have to get the service guy. All those components, if you add up together, become the TCO. Or if I'm looking at two vehicles, one vehicle gives you a lower price today, but it consumes a lot of fuel. So in 5 years' time, depending on how much you run it, possibly, if I look at the cost of the fuel, that vehicle may come out to be costlier. Or if I want to dispose after 5 years, the price which I'm getting there, in one model it may be 50% down, while the other case it may be 40% down. So you have to compare both the things around. So we have a concept of TCO and there's a concept of life cycle costing. So life cycle costing we use normally for equipments, which are having a lifetime, the capital equipments. For others, when you're doing a day-to-day procurement, we use the concept of TCO. Here it shows you beautifully. Purchase price is the tip of the iceberg. You can see the perceived opportunity is small, but then there are endless other costs around, the maintenance cost, the freight cost, standardizations, warehousing costs, all those costs, disposal costs, those are also very important around. So sometimes we ignore those parts and we make a decision based on purchase price. So the philosophy is when you make a decision, make it based on total cost. But those who are in the public sectors, keep in mind, so if you are trying to make fair competitions, trying to do a level field, ensure that these parameters are spelled out, that the cost would be determined, the comparison would be made based on TCO, and TCO will look into these parameters. So once you add them together, then you can say which one is the value for money. Just in time is very important. Again, as you know, this concept came from Japan. It means getting the right quantity of the goods at the right place, right time. See, if I'm very well assured that this company is, some companies works in JIT basis, on 1 day basis, 4 hours delivery basis. You can imagine if I don't have GIT, and I don't want disruption in my production. If there's a disruption, you can imagine some of my workers will be idle, which I have to pay, you have to pay them the salary, and they're idle. So you want a continuity of supply. If somebody can assure me that you guys, your supply will be available within 4 hours notice, I don't have to keep a stock. But if I'm not sure about it, I know there's uncertainty, I may have to keep a stock for a month. I may have to keep a stock for 10 days. I remember when I used to work with Tatas, I'm talking in 70s, we used to have inventories of 6 months, 5 months. In those days it was fine because the prices of the goods were going up and up. So even if it's lying in the inventory, I'm not losing money. The models never used to change. Any model we were making those days will go on for at least 10 to 15 years. Today the shelf life is very small. Look at the IT side. Look at the car industries. Those days Ambassador car only one model for many years. I could afford to keep the spares. Now the model changes every 1 year. Mobile phone, the model changes every 6 months. Who will like to keep the inventories? So JIT becomes very, very important around. Now GIT is again, I think here is again a little bit explanation around is GIT is all about cutting down the waste. If you look at the last bullet, the mandate of the GIT is cut down the waste. Waste, the way you and me think, the garbage in our office, the garbage at home, I'm not talking that. I'm talking of all waste in the production efforts. So I think this gives you wonderful explanation here. The waste could be I'm doing overproduction. I need 40 pieces, but I'm producing 100 pieces. So 60s are going to lie around. Those 60 will occupy space. A space means you're paying the rent. Second could be the waste. The people are waiting. I'm a worker in the shop floor. I'm waiting from morning till evening. Then 4 nuts have not come. I'm not able to put the wheel. If the nuts have not come, I'm not able to put the wheel. I'm wasting it. So these are the sources of waste around. Unnecessary transportation. If there could be a shortcut, I'm taking all the way long route to avoid the toll. Unnecessary transportation. Inventory. Then I get fed up. I say, guys, oh, let me keep a higher inventory to avoid these problems. Higher inventory means your money is blocked. And that money you're paying through interest to the banks because you're taking a loan. Inefficient work methods, the procedures are wrong, we do one way, then we think, oh guys, we did a mistake, we should have done this way. So those work methods could also be enough. Inefficient processing is also waste. Unnecessary motion, you're doing unnecessary motion, they're also doing a waste. Product defects, I'm producing it, I'm supposed to have 0 defect. But if every out of 100 pieces 10 are defective, I'm losing my money. I have to produce extra to cover those defects. So these are all wastes around. So this is shown in a very pictorial form. The guy is sitting, the machine is running automatically, the guy is sitting and relaxing, and this machine may take 3 hours before the part is made, but this guy is only looking at the machine. This can be done also in a different fashion. Waiting for part. These guys are standing on the assembly line, but parts are not there to assemble them. This guy is counting them, the last one, while the counting could be done in a more mechanical way. Why this guy has to count every day how many pieces are left? Inventories, overproduction, occupying space. Then you can see the long path we have taken up. Then we are looking around, we are storing inventories. So we are busy in storing it in the warehouse, cleaning the warehouse, moving from one end to another end, keeping people busy. But is it adding values? So then we have suppliers. So we try to make GIT partnership perform, and the purpose is some unnecessary activities are avoided. In plant, inventories are avoided. In transit, inventories are cut down, poor suppliers. So that's what we look around. definition of qualities. So we talked about in the previous slide JITs. Now we're talking about quality. The very simple definition of quality is anything which meets expectation. We always say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. If something looks good, the quality is there. But for someone others, I'm not happy with this. It may not be a quality product. So my friend, so the quality means which meets the expectation of the person. Now these, we ask different people around, the banker will say the service. How is the service around? If the guy has to wait for 1 hour, poor service, poor quality. If the guy can walk into the bank and the job is done on a self-service basis, the guy will say great service, great quality. Healthcare, quality healthcare. Hotel employees, certainly customer satisfaction. Manufacturer is a quality product. So the term quality under the different terminology, you will find different ways around. Then comes the concept of total quality. The product might be coming very good, but then tomorrow when you want some queries on that, you want some service on that, nobody cares to answer you. So total quality means you're looking the quality end to end. It is not that you delivered a beautiful product, but tomorrow when you have a part problem or you have issues around, nobody cares to answer you. You want the invoice, nobody gives you invoice for days and days. So total quality means improvement end to end around. So that's how we look around quality in everything we do. Anything which is done in every activity around. The person who writes the specs, the person who makes the POs, the person who manufactures it, everything there has to be qualities around. So quality is more like a religion. It is not the end product, I made beautiful product. It's in the process. So this is where the very first line makes very clear quality system involving the entire organization. From supplier to customer. Covers the complete chain. You made a beautiful product, nicely packed. But then the guy who's loading it on the truck is very casual. He throws it on the floor. The quality is damaged. So that means we are looking from end to end. And this concept again I think was very successful in Japan first. I mean the Toyota was the pioneers. So they said anything which we call the TQM, it needs also evolution. Everything is evolving. Like all of us, our mindsets are changing. Our expectations are changing. Something which I would have accepted 5 years back, today I won't accept it because my expectations have changed. So we are looking at continuous improvements, employee empowerments, benchmarking is very, very crucial. Whatever we do, we have to benchmark. How are we doing compared to others? How can we change it? And the same thing is in the public sector also. Even in public sectors, it could be PSU, could be government office, government banks, government this. How do we compare with the benchmark in other countries? Can we compare with them? What changes are required around? So benchmarking is very, very common. Just in time and the knowledge of TQM tools. There are a wide range of TQM tools and that's what we have to be knowledgeable. Another definition comes sigma. What is sigma? So sigma is a Greek term and it shows you, I think maybe in the next slide I can show you, you can see the mean value like a mu. So the mu is the mean values and sigma is the one which shows you the variation. I have got thousands of parts. I checked the dimensions of all of them and the dimensions fall in the curve. You might have seen in the college also when we give a score to the kids. Somebody is getting 80%, somebody is getting 81%, somebody is getting 40%. We put them in the curve, we call them in the bell curve. And then we say how many are deviating from the mean. That variation is called standard deviation or whatever because sigma part. Now what we are saying around is defects should not exceed 6 sigmas around. So let me show you this one. 6 sigmas. So when we say 6 sigmas, the number of defects. If you're placing an order with some companies, you say, guys, I want to place an order, but my terms and conditions are that the defect should not exceed 6 sigma level. 6 sigma means 3.4 defects per million. This is again happening in many of the countries around. But if you go to Japan, they don't believe in this one. They say, guys, 0 defect. Why should there be defect? If I've done a good job, no defect at all. I remember a joke type thing. One order was given to a Japanese company. They said, oh, the requirements are 6 sigma. The guy has to put intentionally 3.4 parts to cover sigma. So that's the way it is. That shows the mindset of the people. So keep in mind what it means. This also gives you beautiful data around. So when we work with 6 sigmas, 6 sigma means if 20,000 mails are coming to you per hour, 7 mails are lost. You allow them up to 7 mails. Unsafe drinking water for 2 minutes per year instead of 15 minutes per day. 1 plane crash. So you want to have a wonderful airline. You say, guy, we follow 6 sigma. You say, guy, I want to catch this flight, but then they tell you, oh, we follow 6 sigma. 6 sigma means 1 plane crash every 5 years. Do you want to be part of it? So naturally, you want to be part of 0 defect. So this gives you the 0, again, 6 sigmas, definitions around. Now, when it comes to improvement method, there is a DMAIC method, DMADV method. So one is called continuous improvement, improve. So keep in mind there's to be continuous improvement. Other one is called design and validate. So this is where the acronym shows around. Tools and techniques which are used for total quality management. You have to use 7 QC, we call them. Check sheet, Pareto charts, cause and effect, histograms, scatter diagrams, flow charts. Those who come from the statistic background or from engineering background, I'm sure they must have studied all of them in the college time. But you'll find if you go to any of the Japanese company, these are shown in a big bold letter on the shop floors around. Even if you go to a car service center which is run by, let's say, Suzuki, you'll find this on the boards, what exactly it is. So 6 sigma methodology is there around. Game theory is another one which we use for decision making. We have many choices around. So it's like a game theory. So we say, guys, so game theory, I'm sure many of you might have used it when you play cards. You go for gambling. There are also game theories used. So you say, guys, okay, let me bet on this. If I do it, maybe I double multiply this. So it's also game theory. So game theory also we use when we're trying to find the suppliers. If I go with this supplier, what is the risk around? If I go with this supplier, what are the risks around? So game theory is used from that angle. But the concept of game theory came from iterative prisoner's dilemma. You might have seen in the good old days, 2 people are involved. They'll put them 2 separately in the prisons. They ask them separate questions. So this came basically from there. This model came from that concept around. Defining the games. Well, friend, with this, I think it brings us an end to this session on the first module. But the journey goes on. I want to thank you all for being a patient hearing. Now, we'll follow